Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience podcast. If you are watching this video and you haven't subscribed to my channel, do subscribe to the channel. If you watch the videos, hit the like button, and guys, like, share and subscribe to the channel. It's free यार. Like, share and subscribe करने में कुछ problem है नहीं. It's free of cost. Today is a very special day. Why do you ask this? Is because today is the pilot episode of the MMA series, and we have as our guest Kristin Francis today, who has been doing MMA for nearly a year now. Hi, Kristin. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? How's your team?
My team?
Yeah, it's a very good thing that you all have gone through with this podcast. I really appreciate it. And thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you as a guest of the, pilot episode of the MMA series. To give a little bit of background, I started watching MMA only last year after Khabib retired, because everyone was quite shocked कि ऐसा क्या हो गया, कि Khabib retired and stuff like that. Then I did not know who Khabib was until then. So I went, who is Khabib on Google, and I see he's MMA player, and okay, he's really good at it. Then काफी depth में I reached, and I realized that about MMA sports as well, it is a killer sport and it's very interesting as well. So then I had this thing that when I start a podcast, I want to have a separate series for MMA as well, because of the personalities that that is intriguing to talk to. So it is a pleasure to have you, Kristin, and wow, it's happening finally. Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here, man. Glad I'm here.
Wow. Yes. So Kristin, I went to your LinkedIn profile, first to see what you have studied, and you have done BSc Finance and you have also done your MBA, which is commendable. You have done both from very top colleges.
Thank you.
What really fascinated me to bring you as a guest was you are already good at studying. Okay, that is one thing, but to do something as tough as MMA, you tell me what really attracted you to join MMA, and when did you join MMA?
I was always very, very interested in combat sports actually. And the thing is, it started with pure love for boxing because I thought it was very, very brutal. Seeing people knocked out just gave me some. I
Chills.
wanted to know how it feels, getting knocked out or knocking someone out. So I would keep watching it all the time. Then eventually I stumbled across UFC while changing the channel. And then from UFC, I was like, this is it. This is much better because now you're using kicks and submissions. And this is actually pure fighting, which is more brutal, much more brutal than boxing. There's pure bloodshed and everything. Doesn't sit right with some people, but it was okay for me.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, I kept watching it. And then that always fascinated me and drew me towards it. Eventually, I finally got the chance to start doing it, I think in last year, March. And immediately after I started, the lockdown happened. So then I believe in omens a lot. So I saw that as an omen.
You believe in what?
Omen.
Omen, okay.
Superstitious thing. Yeah. So I think I saw that as a sign to just wait for a bit, get in better shape before you start again. So I couldn't do it for 5 months. I focused on getting in better shape by working out at home itself. In like this cramped space in my house, I would do it. And after I think 5 months or 6 months, around September, I could resume again. And I started, with kickboxing. And then I trained kickboxing for 7 months. Now the thing with kickboxing is it's a 4-point system where you have your hands and you have your feet. But I also wanted to learn how to throw elbows and knees. So I switched over to Muay Thai after 7 months. And Muay Thai is an 8-point system, obviously, which is your hands and your feet and your elbows and your knees. So that's what I wanted to do, and I've been loving that ever since.
Wow. This is So when were you watching? At what age did you start watching boxing?
Like 13 or 14, something like that.
Wow, that's quite young. So there is nobody that stopped you. That why are you watching such a violent sport or something?
I used to watch it on my phone secretly. I didn't watch it on the TV. Bo- Boxing was always like that because my mom would always come to see and she's like, "Why are you watching this? Why do you play these violent video games?" And I said,
Right. With this, I have also had a very similar experience when I was around 8 or 10, if I'm not wrong, or probably 11. I was watching WWE because that time WWE was the only, physical
"Yeah,
combat
yeah,
sport that would be broadcasted on the TV. But the first time I started watching it, I was watching it on TV, and I was at my dad's friend's house, and then the friend's wife and my mother saw that I'm watching this WWE on TV. So they immediately told me to, oh, you shouldn't watch all this violent sport. This is bad. This will make you bad, and all that stuff. They started saying. So my first experience itself was, although I was interested to watch the WWE, it was immediately shut down. कि नहीं नहीं ये देखना ही नहीं है तुझे. It is not at all good. So then I never got back to watching it, and but suddenly, as
yeah,
time
yeah."
went ahead, the UFC happened,
The
and
thing
now
is,
I'm
even
watching it.
yeah, yeah. Even I used to love WWE a lot. I would have probably started with wrestling too. But the thing is, as soon as I found out WWE is fake, it lost all that charm.
He lost all the
It
interest, right?
lost all the interest.
Uh,
And then I switched over to boxing. Then no, went to. Even my mom used to tell me, as Indian households are very sheltered when it comes to like
mhm.
violent sports in general. I wasn't even allowed to watch rugby because people would like ram
Yeah,
into
would
each
run
other.
into.
It's okay.
Wow.
Now you're old enough, you can do everything.
Yeah, now we can do everything there.
I,
Wow, that's true. That's true. So, Kristen, you said that you wanted to get in good shape, and then you wanted to start the kickboxing and Muay Thai.
yeah, yeah.
And you said that you started working out at home. So do you have like a home gym where you have the equipments, or just simple like push-ups and stuff like that?
The thing is, I started going to the gym when I was 17.
Okay.
Okay. So 17, 18, 19, and 20. I was weightlifting. Then I went to do MBA. MBA, I didn't get time to continue the weightlifting. So I left it for a year. And then I came back. And I told you that initially I went in March, right? And that thing just blew the wind out of me. I couldn't complete the workout. Very, very. So then I decided that if I want to resume training, I will have to go in better shape than which I started at. Because if I don't, then obviously lockdown है तो सब लोग तो वैसे ही मोटे हो रहे हैं.
Right.
If I go back fatter or unfit, I will be finished. I will be on the floor vomiting. I did not want that embarrassment. So I decided to just over here. Yeah, I bought resistance band
Okay.
and like 12 kilo ka dump, and I used to do it
Mm-hmm.
right over here. Pretty basic because I had all that prior weightlifting experience. That also helped, but eventually got into
Wow.
it.
So you started working out at home only
Yeah,
without
yeah.
complaining. Wow. This
Dude, you have to do it. You have to do it. It's only like 15-20 minutes a day. Just go on YouTube and type HIIT, which is high intensity interval training. You'll have like 15-20 minute videos. It will
Mm.
shoot your heart rate. It will shoot your heart rate like through the roof. And you will be sweating by the end of 20-30 minutes. And you'll be completely out of it. But after you complete it, it's wonderful. If you stop midway, then you will just feel like shit again.
That's quite interesting. HIIT.
Yeah.
So when you resume to your MMA training, what is the first thing that you learned?
Just the basics, the jab.
Then like kickboxing, you started with
Yeah,
kickboxing first, right?
yeah, yeah.
So what is kickboxing?
Kickboxing is a 4-point system. You use your hands, only your hands, and only your feet. So at first, I think they teach you the basics of boxing. Depends on whatever sensei or coach you go to. Most of the time, they'll teach you the boxing basics first. After that, they'll teach you how to kick properly, which is a straight kick, your roundhouse kick, your back kick, all those things. And the thing is, the hit workouts really help. The high intensity interval training workouts really help because here it is for 20 minutes that you're doing and you're pushing yourself a lot. Kickboxing and Muay Thai workouts are purely 1 or 1.5 hour of hit only. So they force you to get into shape like that. And if you do it for a month, you will see changes within yourself. After 3 or 4 months, everyone is going to tell you that it changed a lot. So it's a very vast and interesting thing. It also develops your mind a lot, gives you a lot of mental strength.
Right. That's true. That's true. With such high intensity workout to just push yourself, it's not easy. It's not कर लेंगे करके. You have to be like quite focused. Then I have to complete 1 hour of this training, and only then I'll come, take some rest.
The thing is, it's better if you have other people around you working out as well because that will push yourself. So that will push you as well. Now, the thing is with kickboxing, because it just reopened after lockdown, people didn't want to risk it at that time. So I was the only one in class, and then the trainer was the only one pushing me. So I got that one-to-one training, which is good, and it's actually better to get one-to-one training when it comes to martial arts. But just the mental struggle and just having no training partner to push me was just. But it came together very well.
So is it like what would I say, a rule that anybody who wants to start MMA has to start with kickboxing?
No, there is no such thing. You can start with anything. It could be karate, jujitsu, whatever you want. But I would advise you to branch out into other ones because in a situation where you have to defend yourself, you need to know how to strike. You need to know strike. The striking is ground game. So jiu-jitsu is purely ground game. Karate is mostly touch and back. So it doesn't like you learn the flexibility is good, everything is good, but you just tap the person's
touch. Right. Yeah. Uh, I have done karate back in 2007 or 8. I've done my until the orange belt, that is the third or fourth belt. But that time I did not, have any understanding of the sport as such. I mean, I was doing like because it was taught to me. And now that I've grown up and I see, the kickboxing and Muay Thai, I think karate takes place in vacuum. It's not a very realistic approach towards a fight. Because when somebody is coming to strike you like a madman, like a crazy person, you can't just be like, Anna, I first have to do this move and then only I can move on to the next, because that is how they teach in kata. They teach by katas, which is like step by step, step. So I think it's like useless in a real life combat. For the fact that, yeah, I mean, for disciplining, it is good. I can say that, you learn and you have develops your memory and stuff. But in real life situation, if somebody is coming to hit you, the person will be rendered कि अरे मैं ये step तो भूल गया तो next step मैं क्या करूँ? How am I supposed to punch and do stuff like that? That is
what
true.
my coach says right now is you have to train it into your muscle memory so that when you actually get into a fight, it will just like come out faster without thinking. So now if you teach it in steps, then I think that might be a slight problem. But then again, it's up to you to defend yourself. You would probably forget the steps. It's better if you forget the steps, I think.
Yeah, it's better if forget the steps. That's true. So tell me more about kickboxing. Like, what are the rules, or what is it like, and why only 4 points are used and not the entire body is used?
I don't know why only 4 points are used, but it is what it is. Can't help it. And as far as the rules are concerned, I'm not a professional fighter. And as far as I've seen, it's like a very simple thing. Like you connect with your hand, you get a point in a fight. You connect with your hand or your leg, you get a point. That's about it. The person who has the most points or gets the knockout wins the round on the fight completely. It's pretty simple. Same
Oh.
thing goes for Muay Thai with the 8-point system as well.
So, do you have any idea where did the kickboxing originate from?
No, I did not look into it.
And
Muay
Muay
Thai,
Thai?
Muay Thai, I know it's like from Thailand,
Hmm.
and people train over there like crazy. It is insane. But and the thing is, it's only like very sheltered over there, or what is the word for it?
Yeah, only the Thailand people do it, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. They do it
Hmm.
very, very brutally. Like they get up in the morning, and the kids are also encouraged to do it, even though the pay is like not very good. Everyone is
Hmm.
smiling over there. I don't know for what reason. When I've watched Muay Thai documentaries, everyone is smiling in it all the time. They send you out and with other kids to like run at 5 o'clock. Then you go to the gym, you do a 2 hour workout, you come back, you eat something, and then you go back again in the evening to the gym to work out. And then basically as a kid over there, I think you earn respect winning fights all the time. Don't think they put that much importance on their education, especially in that part of the country where Muay Thai is actually taught very, very
Hmm.
seriously.
Yeah, I guess I have only watched one video where I don't remember the player's name, but he's from that part only, like Thailand or something. But when somebody punches him, he just shrugs it off with like a shoulder shake.
Rotang,
Ah,
it's
that guy. He
He's
always,
a,
is trying to tease his opponents with, every time somebody punches him, he's like, no, nothing happened to me. I'm just so strong. Uh,
dude, he's
yeah,
very,
it's
very
only
good.
those people learn from. It's not very much prevalent in other countries as well. Like if you see UFC and Jiu-Jitsu, they're quite prominent in USA and
Yeah, yeah.
London as well, and Dubai as well. So far, I've seen, and like
Dude,
there are UFC certified gyms over here. I've seen, and like world class.
UFC needs to start coming in India. I don't know why it doesn't. And
Hmm.
Jiu-Jitsu also, for that matter, there are very few Jiu-Jitsu classes.
Hmm.
Muay
That's
Thai is
true.
also very, very rare.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Kickboxing you can find mostly.
Yeah,
But
yeah, kickboxing is quite prevalent in it. Kickboxing
there's,
and karate is quite prevalent in
yeah,
India.
yeah. But kickboxing, most gyms where you'd see where it's not expensive particularly is
Hmm.
where they just like hang a
Yeah,
bag in the
hang.
middle. Go do your thing.
Go do your workout. That's true. That's true. Right. I think too, for UFC and for Jiu-Jitsu to come to India, it's going to take decades, I would say, to enter India, because we as Indians, we are always focused on only the degree part and education part of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
your character is judged by what, from where do
What
you do your
from
degree and stuff like that. It's not judged on how strong you are or how well can you defend yourself. That is not a point of question that is taught in India. So it's going to take a while. But however, I was doing a bit of research before you came, and I saw that there is a jiu-jitsu school, like Gracie certified jiu-jitsu school in Delhi. Dave, can you pull up, because I was searching that how about this jiu-jitsu only, okay, how much is it prevalent in India and stuff like that. The Gracie family, who is from jiu-jitsu, who is from Brazil, it's a family whose entire family, the entire Gracie family is Gracie family. You can write, yes, Gracie family. Yeah, jiu-jitsu second, yes. Open first wiki. Yeah, the Gracie family is a prominent martial arts family from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, known for their creation of self-defense martial arts system of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, also known as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? So, in fact, they are the one who have created this, and to be a certified Gracie, it's like you're the elite. You're the elite in the world. Then can you go back? Go back. No, no, go back. I mean, share screen and go back. And type Jiu-Jitsu school in India.
Oh, this is a legit thing. This looks like a legit.
It's in Delhi, as far as I read. Scroll down. Go back. Type Jiu-Jitsu classes in Delhi. See it there.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, there you go. So only Delhi has it. Delhi has this. Even in Mumbai, it's not there. Two or three Gracie. Only one Gracie certified is in Delhi, and others are I don't know what certified, but they might be good if they exist. But it's going to take a while for to India to shift their focus from education completely to education plus self-defense system. Wow.
I think they should just focus more on building your character rather than focusing too much on the education. And also, like self defense is obviously a part of it, but it's not the entire part. The same way education is just a part of it.
It's true. So, Kristin, just like you said, but you were watching boxing in your childhood, but when was it really you gave it a serious thought? That I want to start MMA. Was it after watching Joe Rogan or something like that? Because as far as you ask anybody who is newly to the sport of UFC, everybody gives credit to Joe Rogan. Ki, nahi, I heard Joe Rogan and then I started watching the sport. Do you have the same story or even before?
Mine might be similar, but in like a different sequence.
Yeah, tell me.
So the thing is, I was watching boxing, and that time my parents weren't home, so I was flipping through the channels. And when I was flipping through the channels, I came across UFC. And as soon as I saw that, I felt like boxing is fighting. Yes, it's good too. It's very good. But the thing is, it feels a little incomplete because you're not using your legs. And like, what if someone takes you to the ground? You can't box him on the ground. So then that entire thing just went out of the window for me. And I looked at UFC and I'm like, these guys are actually fighting. Boxing is actually just, you can do it, but in a street fight, you might not be able. So that was what stood out to me about UFC. So that's how I started watching UFC. From
And
there,
this
I
was in
started
which year? Which year you started watching UFC?
16. I was 16.
Oh, damn, you got in early, very early
And
as compared to Indian standards.
then that's how I started watching UFC. Then I started Googling stuff and YouTubing stuff about UFC. And then eventually I found out Joe Rogan like that. And that's how it was. I have heard people say that they heard about Joe Rogan first and all, and his podcast and all these guests that come, and then they realize that he's also a UFC commentator. And they actually start watching UFC.
True. He does a great job at it. He's born to do that. Everything related to Mike Joe Rogan is meant to do that. Quite an exceptional character. Now, so what was your first match, first UFC match that you watched like live, like you had decided कि UFC someone ले 150 UFC 150 मतलब I am going to watch that only that day.
You mean like live or the first match that I ever watched?
Yeah, live, like pre-decided. Like for me, I would say, see,
Pre-decided.
I started taking keen interest after Khabib retired. Okay, so I am actually very late to the sport, I would say. But then my first match that I had decided कि नहीं ये देखना ही है was UFC 264 that took place in January. Dustin versus the McGregor.
Honor.
That was the first match that I watched. Okay, nahi, I'm going to watch this anyhow. But other matches that I watched were only on YouTube and highlights and a few snippets of the matches. That's it. So what was your first match that is you watched it completely right from the beginning?
Live was Connor versus Chad. Because the thing is with the timings, you have to watch it early in the morning.
Right.
So for that. So it was Conor McGregor versus Chad Mendes, which I think was 5 or 6 years back,
2015.
15, 14, 16, something like that. And Conor demolished him that time. And then he went on to win like both the belts, 145, 155. And then
Yeah,
Conor
yeah.
switched to boxing, fought Mayweather, lost to Mayweather, then came back, had to renounce his belt. Then he's been up and down, up and down. That whole
Yeah,
trash talk and the thing got
yeah, with Connor, it's been that's been the case, that as far as I read about him, on about his history, he was very good with a featherweight and welterweight, if I'm not wrong. That is
yeah,
145 and 135
one,
weight.
145, 155.
Okay,
135, I
145.
doubt 135, but okay.
Then when he came to at 155, that is when his career started became very volatile. That one he would lose and then he would win, and this he would do a lot of trash talk. So, but that trash talk is, I guess, needed also to sell the tickets. That's a good point. I would That's a fair point, because that's a sport that is based completely on how many viewers watch it, because not many people watch it.
Yeah,
But at one point, Connor is with his latest antiques, with what he did with Justin in this third part
yeah,
where
yeah.
his leg got fractured.
I
That
got
was the crossing the line. I was like, no, 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 this is too much now. This is too much.
to me, Connor crossed the line when he threw a chair at Khabib's bus. For no
Ah,
reason.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why would you do that? I did not. Then he went after his father. Then he went after his religion. That for me was when he just
Yeah,
went
that was.
overboard. So Khabib ragdolled him accordingly. Finished, took him to the ground first round. Didn't finish him out deliberately. Then took him to the ground second round. Then finished him up nicely. Sad.
Wow, but he was really Connor was good at 145. Too good, too good. I watched his matches on YouTube. Everyone that he fought, what is Jose Aldo? If you see, just one
Jose
punch and
Aldo,
people are one punch and people are out. One punch and people are out. He's just knocking everybody out in the very first and the second round. Too good at it that weight.
the thing with him was his mental warfare was very, very good because he was unbeaten after that point. The moment he lost his first fight, that whole aura about him just like diminished, went away. And people actually saw that he can be beaten. Nate Diaz was the first one to beat him. So then they saw that he can't wrestle and he can't last for the whole 5 rounds. So now people started implementing that
People
in their
started gassing him out. Right, 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 right. That's what Khabib was saying. His entire team is tap machines. If they can't last beyond the second or the third
second
round.
or the third.
Third round is also like half he would last. And the same thing happened with in that match also. Which one? With Khabib also, if I'm not wrong. How much did he? He went till third or the fourth round.
A third or yeah,
Third or
it was
fourth.
like
By that time, he was out. With every match, that has been the case.
he gets
To
tired very fast. But then again, fighting Khabib is not.
easy. No, not at all. Man, that guy is just a killer, just an animal, just an animal. He, I mean, it is very tough to understand that how can such a violent person, no, because see, what is why UFC is all about violence, right? And out of all the violent players, he is the guy who stands out like undefeated and undisputed. For him to say that I'm a to see him very violent in the cage and then at the same time see him very humble outside the cage, it's quite difficult for people who don't watch the sport to understand this. Okay, how can somebody who's so violent be so humble as well? What is your thought on that, this character transition or temperament transition?
I don't think it's actually a transition. When you look at people who actually know how to fight, they are actually the most peaceful people you'll ever meet. They're the most humble people you'll ever meet. Because training martial arts actually builds your character to that level. First, it reveals what kind of person you are, and then it actually builds your character. Because when it starts getting painful and frustrating, it actually teaches you how to push out. But I don't think people actually see this part, especially in India. People actually don't see this part towards martial arts. That's why they shelter your you shelter your child from actually watching this whole violent thing because you don't want the child to be that aggressive. But it is a fact that it actually, over time, if you practice any type of martial art, you will end up developing a lot of patience and also a lot of persistence, because martial arts in general actually tends to humble. And you may learn some things quicker than some students, and it may actually take you longer than some other students that you're competing with, but it's drilled down into you to be patient and push through whatever you can till you actually can't get the technique wrong. And this actually rubs off onto other parts of your life. And you also end up developing that self discipline, because it becomes easier to train if you have that self discipline with respect to what you're eating and what you're doing outside of the gym. And the magic actually happens when your trainer actually tells you later, like after a few months that you've mastered the techniques, that he actually tells you that you're actually competent enough to fight. And
Wow.
that gives you a very big confidence. So your competence in turn ends up creating accomplishment, and your accomplishments in turn end up building your confidence. And that's how you develop as a whole person generally, through
Oh,
martial arts.
this is a really insightful thing that you said. That your competence builds up your
Your
uh,
competence means your competence will build up your accomplishment,
right.
and your accomplishments will in turn affect your confidence.
Wow,
So
that's so deep.
the more competent you are, the more you're capable of achieving. Whether you achieve it or not, you're still capable of achieving. Once you achieve it, that rubs off onto you, and that rubs off onto your confidence and the way you see yourself. That is the most important thing that I learned out of martial arts in general.
Wow, that's amazing. So how has training MMA impacted the other aspects of your life? Like you said, when when the things are drilled down to the very core of it, every training, everything, and you become humble. How has that changed you? Like if at Christine at 18, Christine at 24, after the MMA training, what is the changes that you have seen in yourself?
One would be the sheer self-discipline and determination. Thing is, when if I was to compare myself to an 18-year-old me, I would
Or let's
actually
take Christine when he did not work out MMA. Let's take Christine when he did not work out MMA.
okay, that's even better. So the thing is, at that time, if it got painful, I would actually stop after. I would stop very soon, way too soon, because I had never pushed past that limit in my head. Over here with MMA, the thing is, the trainer will actually force you to go. And once you completely trust your trainer with it, he'll allow you to actually grow. And now when he tells me anything, even though I feel that mental block, I'm like, yeah, this is the first stage of pain, this is the second stage of pain, this is the third stage of this is where my muscle is fatiguing out. This is where it grows, and this is where I'm overworking. So I was able to divide it like that. And it's painful, it's painful. It goes through each and every time. You go through it each and every time. And by the end, you are better than what you were. The whole philosophy about it is, with each training session, try to be better than the previous training session, or at least try to get 1% better every day. So by the end of the year, like that, if you train for a year, you will end up getting 36 times better or something. It's a compounded effect. Kobe Bryant said, and that really stood out to me because he was one of my heroes. Sadly, he passed away, but
I've watched Joe Rogan's podcast a lot, with many MMA players,
yeah,
and it's the same with everything, with everyone. People are, indisciplined before they start doing MMA. People are, they don't have a purpose in life. They don't know what to do, and then they join MMA, and then they find their own life. It is so fascinating to hear that the sport that is judged as such violent sport, it is this also sport that has built many homes as well.
Yeah.
People have made a living out of it. You look at Dustin. With Dustin also is the same case, if I'm not wrong. He got into the sport very late, if I'm not wrong. It's not that he was training like Khabib from the childhood. And now if you see the kind of class he has at 34, he's too good with it. It's too good. I mean, after Khabib, Dustin is my second favorite player. And I can see it, man. Just so calm and composed, and even with the third part of the trilogy, he was so composed throughout the trash talking and everything. And if not for the leg also, if Connor hadn't fractured his leg, Dustin was going to win
Yeah, even
the
I think
match. It
that.
was quite evident.
The thing is, Connor also came from very, very humble. Connor was an unemployed before he started. And then he started training. He used to live with his girlfriend, who's now his wife. He used to live with his girlfriend. And his girlfriend mostly paid all the bills. He worked as a plumber on the side to support his MMA dream. And now he became a double champ. He made 100 million. Then he just stopped putting in the work. But then again, obviously, if you make 100 million, you're bound to stop putting in anywhere because you set yourself up and you set, I think, 4 or 5 generations up easily if you made that kind of. But it has made a lot of lives, but it has, I mean, there is a very small percentage of people who actually make it to the top, beat anything.
Mm.
You look at them, you aspire to be like them. There are, for every one person that makes it, there are 10 to 20 people who did not. So you have to try to be that one person. So you have to actually find out if it is worth it. Given the situation we are in, it might not be.
Mm.
The thing with weightlifting versus this MMA training is when you go to the gym for weightlifting, after the first week, the trainer is like, now you're on your thing. And then you have to go through the process of figuring out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. When you go for MMA classes, they actually have like specific workouts that cater and taper to everybody. And the trainer is always there to tell you what how to perfect your technique and watch your form. So you get a better one-to-one experience when you train. And weightlifting is also good, but that's why I prefer learning Muay Thai and
Mm-hmm.
kickboxing.
Yeah, that's I did find that this because I have been also working out since I was 20. So it's like 4 years I am aware of the gym and the way things work. But one thing that I noticed is that the gymming is good for aesthetic purposes. It makes you look good. Like, nice bicep and nice tricep, and it helps you gain weight and everything. But in the long term, there's no use to it. You can't use it for purpose other than for to just show people or just appear confidence. And at the same time, I feel that it is rather than it's like more of a pseudo confidence, when somebody is just jacked with very huge chest and tricep, it just makes him look stronger, but in reality he is not that strong, I would say. Because if a MMA fighter starts knocking around a gym guy, it's not going to be easy for the gym guy to hit him back.
Yeah, any guy who has not trained at all with respect to any kind of fighting will have a very big problem even against an amateur fighter. And yeah, the thing is, this is something that even I noticed that when I used to go after, like right after weightlifting, when I had just done weightlifting, whenever I used to go into the room, I used to size up people. Oh, he's this big, he's this small.
Yeah.
He needs to go. Now, like that, I think it was done subconsciously simply because in case I did have to fight someone, I needed to be prepared.
Yeah,
But now it's just like it doesn't matter. Trained enough.
that's true.
It's common. Now I know that I can do something at least better than what I would do and better than most people because I know that this person is not trained, this person is not trained. Once you know that, you are not scared of anybody.
True. So, at what stage you are of your MMA training? Have you reached a stage where your coach is ready to tell, "Okay, now you're as good as a professional fighter," or at what stage you are basically?
I might be as good as an amateur fighter. Not professional, I don't probably know. I can do the weights and the cardio, but as far as technique and just in general fighting and sparring is concerned, I'm definitely nowhere close to it. Amateur fighter,
Mm.
maybe. Amateur fighter, it like fluctuates between almost a pro and like just beginner. So I'm somewhere in this
Somewhere
75,
in the.
60 to 75% range.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can do it, but the thing is, I am just a little bit afraid, so to say,
Mm.
because I like it. And the thing is, the injuries are brutal. So if I go and I get injured,
Mm.
then it will affect the other parts of my life a lot. I won't be able to train as it is, but it will affect the other parts of my life. And then this corner injury happened, so then it was just way too much.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And I think this is also one of the reasons why the people who actually train are more peaceful, because you've actually seen what can happen in a fight. Those people who are most of the time aggressive and confrontational, they have never really been in a fight or been injured in a fight before. When you train and you go professional, you've seen people just like with such big swelling of their head. You've seen broken bones.
Broken
You've
bones
seen
and everything.
shattered ribs. I've seen a person's rib over here just become completely open. It's
It's
very
like people who have been to war know the cost of war, so that is why they are peaceful people. That is why they would not go to war. I would say it's not the cowardice or the fear of losing. It's just that they know at what cost
at what cost it
it
comes for.
comes.
To them and to you as well. Because now, if you do it, then to you is like, man, if he has to live with the consequence, okay. But then you never know, it might go south very fast. Because if he has a gun or a knife, then you have to defend yourself accordingly. And you never know. Sometimes you'll not even know till you start. Number one rule of life is to not die. So don't be
Hmm.
stupid and get in the fight. But if you have to, make sure it ends very quickly. First thing you have to do is try and diffuse the situation and walk away. If that person grabs you, then it's fair game. Then do what you train to do and make sure
Hmm.
it ends with you.
It's very interesting. I would say very interesting. Why? So have you even given it a thought? Okay, when you reach a stage that you are like as good as a professional fighter, would you give it a chance that you would fight in a like professional fight,
Yeah, I'm considering.
considering it?
Yeah,
And what weight class would you use? 145.
here it's in kgs, no? So it's 65, 70,
uh,
depend like that. That's around 140, 145.
I mean, I would love to watch you. I can. I would love to watch you fight. Later, I can say that even before he was a professional fighter, Kristin had come to my podcast to talk about MMA and stuff. Uh, why do you think is the case with it India only that being a man particularly, if you're a man, you can't be aggressive, you can't be competitive. All you have to do is be quite quite agreeable and be very subservient and be people pleasing kind of it. Why is it? And not do what we really like if I or if you would have said that at the age of 15 I want to learn MMA. Why is it that rather than our parents promoting or the society promoting us to do MMA, you are told, no, 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 this is not good for you? Why is it that case? Why do you think?
It's primarily because we believe in a system where getting your job and everything in order before you do whatever you want to do is considered ideal. In other Western societies, it's more or less like if you're interested, you can give it a shot. If you give it a shot and you like it, you can continue, provided your studies are not affected. That is one of the main. But another reason is because there's this preconceived notion that you will get very violent and aggressive, and people just don't want that in general because they see violence as bad. But one of Joe Rogan's podcast guests was Jordan Peterson, and I watched him say these exact things where he was like, in order to be a good man, you have to be a dangerous man. A man is actually very, very better when he's dangerous, and the best men he knows are the most dangerous men. And it is better to actually understand something and not act it out in terms of violence rather than not understand it or know it at all. And unless you think like an evil person thinks, or the guy in front of you thinks, you're defenseless against them because they'll actually go to places that you can't even imagine. Once they go over there, then they win. And another reason that I think that we are encouraged, I think when it comes to being subservient and not going after what you want, I think it's just a problem with society in general. Because now most of the men nowadays are very, very weak. We are in this terrible cycle where it's like good times create, I'll tell you, hard times create good men. Good times create, one second, let me get it right.
Wait, I guess I have Dave, please pull that up. I got it, what you're trying to say. I've seen that photo as well. I've seen that photo. Wait, we'll just pull that up. I went to your Instagram profile, and you have put a lot of reels about the motivational talks that you have heard from Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson and Kobe Bryant on your highlights. So I was going through that, and I'll be honest, I saw each and every one of it. Yeah, I guess it's 20 or 25. I saw each and every one of the clip, and this was one of the clips that we'll be pulling it out later, that it's actually really sad, and sometimes I do cry about it, that men are taught to be such subservient and agreeable with everything that people has to say. Here you go. This is the thing that
create strong men create good times
create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So where do you think we are right now? Are we on I think we are on the third or the last stage?
I think we are in the third stage, right?
Yeah, even I think so. Because
hard times are coming, it's better you back up.
Yeah. And Dev, can you pull up Google now? YouTube, sorry. YouTube. And write Jordan Peterson. There, the first one. Scroll down.
It's the third video.
Yeah, 139.
So because people have commented on every verse in the Bible, like to a degree that's almost unimaginable. So you can look and see all the interpretations and all the translations and get some sense of what the genuine meaning might be. And the line, the meek shall inherit the earth, meek is not a good translation, or the word has moved in the 300 years or so since it was translated. What it means is this: those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. And that's another thing I've been telling. Yeah, no kidding. That's a lot different, man. That's a big difference. It's so great. And so, like, one of the things I tell young men, well, and young women as well, but the young men really need to hear this more, I think, is that you should be a monster. Because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it.
Do you know the expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war?
Right, exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. And so when I tell young men that, they think, well, lots of them are competitive. They're low in agreeableness, because that's part of being competitive temperamentally. It's like, is there something wrong with being competitive? There's nothing wrong with it. There's something wrong with cheating. There's something wrong with being a tyrant. There's something wrong with winning unfairly. All of those things are bad. But you don't want people to win? What's the difference between trying to win and striving? You want to eradicate striving?
What's the uncomfortable?
This is what actually made me follow Jordan Peterson a lot more. I started binging the podcast entirely. Then I found out who he was, and now he's like a father figure. Even Kobe, I saw Kobe as a father figure. Now the thing is, I think in society nowadays, men are weak simply because we lack good father figures in general. Because we are always told to just go after the job and get your degree.
Do what everyone is saying.
We are not actually taught any values or how to build character or how to go through suffering, get through pain. Nothing of that sort is actually taught.
That's true. I guess this has been the problem with the masculinity. I would say that why has it been so deteriorated to the level? See, because when somebody is, let's say, when you are 15 or 14, and in a very early teenage, 13 or 14, I would say, we look at successful people on the internet, on the TV, and we think that wearing the gold chains or having expensive car or having huge houses and having a hot girlfriend is the definition of success. Everybody gets attracted to such things, but we don't know how much effort the person has put in to reach at a stage where the outcome of everything has been okay, that is why he has a big house, that is why he has a model girlfriend, or that is why he earns so much money, or that is why he goes to places that we have never heard of. It's always about the result, and to teach that. See, I guess this is how I would say, let's take a person who is grown fatherless and a person who is grown with a father. So both of them see success as as I described earlier, that expensive cars and huge houses. That's right, that is the ultimate outcome of anything. But if the person who is fatherless, he'd always try to just imitate what is success. I'll buy an expensive phone so that I appear successful. I'll buy expensive clothes so I'll appear successful. I'll try to hook up and go to bars and do those things, and that is how I'll appear successful, when he's just in reality just imitating the success. When a person with a father figure would know that okay, there has to be a lot of effort put in, and I don't know the outcome, I don't know how much money I'm going to make out of it, but it is going to develop my character, it is going to do this, it is going to do that, and let's see where it takes me. See, when you do MMA, you are not doing it for the sake of that you have a hot girlfriend, or you can use the MMA as a ways to brag about it in front of girls, right? You're doing it why? To develop your own character, that no, I want to become stronger, I want to become more disciplined, I want to do this, I want to do that. But the outcome of this obviously is going to be that in the eyes of many people, particularly let's say in terms of the way girls see you, you are going to be the most attractive man. But that is not what you want. That is just a byproduct that is coming at the end of the day. So I guess this is the main difference, growing with father and growing without the father, that people are facing the problem. And to tell these things that these things can be achieved, but you have to put in a lot of effort to do something.
Correct. And the thing is, nowadays we can't even define what masculinity particularly is, because it's considered that the most manly men are the most successful ones, and everyone is just revolving around some or the other definition. So I'll tell you my definition. You tell me if you agree
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it or
yeah,
not.
dude.
If you disagree with it, we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I see it is that masculinity revolves around you trying to become the best father to your own child. And to me, it is also more about becoming good enough at something where I'm capable enough to actually carry my own weight and maybe even ease the burden of the people around me. And one of the other things which is actually very, very overlooked when it comes to talking about men in general is that it is overlooked a lot of the time is being emotionally intelligent and being emotionally available and also capable of carrying the anguish and the pain of the people that you love. And as per Jordan Peterson, one thing that I've picked up from him is that it is also a lot about accepting responsibility and making tough decisions, knowing that the consequences of your decisions may or may not particularly go down the way you want them to go down. But at the end of the day, you have to be in a position where you are a leader first, and a leader and not a boss, which means that you will have to get your hands dirty from time to time with the people that you actually love. And you may have to do it 10 times, you may have to do it 100 times again, but you have to go through it each and every time. So back to actually trying to be the best father that you can be to the child. It is actually a very, very, you know, long journey of self, be it in your domain of work, your personality, your ability to actually protect and provide, your leadership or your nurturing ability or your health. The mistake that nowadays we make as guys is that we try to max out one of these things. Like for example, a guy might be just focusing on his work, might not focus on his health at all. And that is what holds us back in general. Now obviously you can't be the best at everything, but I'd say it is better to be good at each and everything
Everything.
a significant amount rather than just being just being the best at one thing.
True, true, true. Yeah, this is, I totally agree to it. That, just being good, master of one thing is not something that I personally, look forward to in any case. That if I am a lawyer, I just don't want to dedicate my entire life to just law things. I need to keep myself fit. I need to keep developing my own, character with time to time, because things change very quickly these days, and to just have that very, stagnant mentality, that is just, I would say what I picked up from law, and to live the next 50 years of my life is not sensible to do that. When I started this podcast, my initial three guests were lawyers. So people started asking me that, are you going to invite only two lawyers? That, why aren't you, okay, मैं क्या मैं how can I come to your podcast? You are inviting only lawyers. What can I say? I don't have anything to say. But people don't see that it's not about only being a lawyer. I see, I'm talking to you, you are interesting to talk to. Why am I talking to you? Because you're interesting. Just because you are not a lawyer, or does not mean that I won't talk to you. That is the problem. It's happening. Even, this is the exact thing that you said, that people are just focused on one thing. Either when they want to earn a very expensive degree and just earn, or somebody wants to just, do something else. It's not about the holistic development. I want to develop my health as well. I want to read stuff. I probably want to travel and get a new perspective of a different country, stuff like that. It's true, man. And when it comes to the thing that you said about, being responsible for your own acts, that is the most enlightening thing that, I've heard from Jordan Peterson. I would say that right now I'm alone. Okay, I don't have a family, I don't have a wife, I don't have a kids. I understand that. So the only person who is going to bear the consequences of the action is me. Because if I do something, only I will take it. Nobody has to suffer along with me. Yeah. why do you think that these things are happening? That why is it that the masculinity has been redefined or put to a level that uh, be good at only making a degree or making an education, and then earn a lot of money, and then somebody will tag along with you, that type of blueprint that is being given.
I'm going to say something. I want you to clip this part. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, so I think the thing is, growing up, we were always told to man up, right? And manning up is getting a degree and getting a job before you actually do what you want. Now, forget about the society actually telling you to man up. Your mental health in that regard is your top priority. So don't be stuck in a cycle where we pretend to be a man which we are not. We pretend to be strong when we are actually feeling very weak. We pretend to be confident when we are actually feeling very insecure. We pretend to be tough when we are actually hurting on the inside. And I've been there and I've done that. I'm guilty of it. And I'm also here to tell you that that is actually nothing more than you putting on a show. And over time, I've come to realize that it's actually exhausting, to be man enough for everyone all the time. And what's true for most boys is that growing up, we are always told what type of a man we should be. And as a boy, it doesn't make sense to you because you only want to get accepted and liked by other boys. And we are also told that masculine and feminine are two opposite things. So in turn, it ends up you end up in a situation where you have to either adopt this disgusted view of the feminine traits in you. Otherwise, you have to reject those traits or you will be rejected completely as a guy.
That's true. That's true.
So it's just some bullshit script that we were given that, girls are weak, boys don't cry. And as a guy, I'm actually telling you that this has to end. And the definition of masculinity, as I said before, at this moment is actually broken. So therefore, I have completely sort of renounced myself off of it. I don't want to be a good man. I'd just rather be a good human. And I believe that the only way that could happen is that we actually learn how to embrace yourself completely. And I'm not saying that, everything you learn as a guy is actually toxic. There is good and bad in everything. We just need to find the balance.
Everything. That's a very good thing that you said. The script has been given to us. That men don't cry or men don't do this and women do this and that. With that, I would say, I think emotions are healthy. But to just be an emotionally whining person, that is not okay. Like, you can be sad, right? I can be sad about something, that something happened, like and it made you feel sad. That's okay, but you can't complain about it for a
very long time,
for a moment. That is where it should stop. It's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel happy, it's okay to be feel loved, or love someone else, but you can't go whining or complaining about it. Like the day you get, let's say the day you get hit by your when you're sparring, one of your opponents just taps you out. So okay, you felt rejected and dejected and whatnot, but you can't go ahead and complain for the next 2 weeks. Arey yaar, isne mere ko tap out kar diya, now I don't want to do this and that. So that is where it has to stop. I guess emotions are quite, I would say, well defined for everyone. It's just you cannot wallow in your emotions for a very large period of time. That's what I would say.
So the thing is, I think primarily as guys, we are not actually taught to talk about our emotions.
That's true.
And I think that is why we fail at it so much. Because if it's about sports, women, work, we have no problem. But if it's about our insecurities, our struggles, or our fear of failure, it is almost like we, sort of feel paralyzed. And there is this one way that I found out of it, and it is to create experiences that will actually make you feel wanted. And when you'll notice that when you face such an experience, it has a certain kind of power over.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you stand there and you wait, the power increases. So you have to just straight jump into it, and in doing so, you will actually take that experience's power away, and you will feel a lot less vulnerable after you do it. And by doing so, you will also encourage other men to, jump into it along with you, who were like on the fence about doing it alone. And as soon as you find the strength and the courage to share whatever shame you felt, it always disappears. And also remember that if you want to practice this system of vulnerability, you have to also practice a system of accountability. What I've noticed, talking to many guys, is that we are just waiting. It's almost like we want to share it, but society has told us to not share it. So we don't. So secretly, it's like we are waiting for permission to just express ourselves. I'm telling you that all you need is another man and like a little bit of safe space. Do it, and the transformation will be instant. You will see it happen right in front of your eyes. Guy going from completely broken down to being okay again. Just ask him how he is. Tell him that whatever you're going to say stays there, and it's magical most of the time.
Yeah, this safe space, it's kind of weird and strange that women do have a a lot of privileges, that they are allowed to be vulnerable, they are allowed to talk about their insecurities, but at the same time when we aren't, and it is blamed on us that we are toxically masculine, I would say. So it's true, man. We nearly need to open up, and that is why I guess the concept of brotherhood, when you have your close friends who you can be vulnerable to, that becomes very important, really important. Just like you said, that you need to open up to any of your friends or your brother or anybody who you can trust, that he won't judge you for being vulnerable or be having that insecurity. This it's true, man. I mean, it cannot be shown in a very tangible manner कि अच्छा देखो इसने ये किया इसलिए ये ऐसा बन गया, but it can only be experienced with guys, I would say.
Yeah.
It's
the
tough.
thing is, this whole thing about toxic masculinity is also weird because it has not been defined yet. Just a term which is being thrown around. Just Google toxic masculinity and what entails it.
The Google masculinity.
And just look at it. It's just being self-sufficient is toxically. Look at it.
Oh,
so
jeez! Holy shit!
People have put this over here without stoicism. Doesn't mean not showing emotion. It means being in control of your emotion. So you realize that when you're in control of your emotion, you're obviously calm, and when you're calm, you obviously display no emotion. Most of the time, you might be raging with anger, but if you're still calm, it won't show on your face. It's the same thing as getting hit with a punch, and then you're like completely baffled. But if you're calm, then it won't show on your face. Right. So that's the thing.
Jesus Christ. Traits of toxic masculinity includes themes of mental and physical toughness. So, Kristin, you are toxic, okay, as per Google. Aggression. So again, you are toxic. Stoicism or not displaying emotion. I think, Kristin, you should have cried. Only then you would be defined as masculine. But since you did not cry, you are toxic again. Self-sufficiency. Okay, so you work a job, Kristin. You pay your own bills. You pay your own MMA training. So all these things that you're doing, that is again toxic. You should have asked from your parents. You should ask everything from your parents and your girl. That's right. And emotional insensitivity, right? So what can I say about emotional insensitivity? I mean, the fact that you are being very civil to me in terms of this, while talking on the podcast, it is very much toxic of you to show some civility to me. Why? Because you're being insensitive, I would say. So all in all, Kristin is not a man, I would say. He is very toxic, and people should hate him. Girls should hate him. Society should hate him. And yeah, that is what it means. Jeez.
Even Jordan Peterson was put. Jordan Peterson was asked this question by a woman. He asked the woman to define it, and she couldn't define it. And then he like, definitions are important. And then he went on a whole rant after that. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Jeez, he's another fine character, man. How did I come across Jordan Peterson is, again, and it's all happened during the lockdown only. I was again, so scrolling on YouTube to watch, some, because I'm a lawyer, so I wanted to learn a few debate tactics and stuff like that. So this Jordan Peterson is obviously top of the list of a lot of debates and arguments. So that got hooked. Okay, he's speaking some sense. And then I read about him, and it's been like 1.5 years since I came across his content, and I have completed reading both of his books, both 12 Rules for Life and 12 Rules Beyond Order. Yeah, I actually pre-ordered the second book. It came on 5th of March. I had pre-ordered it, and I got it immediately, like in March only, I would say. So big fan of his work. Great. And the thing is, he's deconstructing everything to the level that only a man can connect to. So when he's saying that it's not toxic to be competitive, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to hear. I am competitive. I don't want to be shamed for it. And I want to win. That's simple.
It's simple, yeah.
So why is it that that people are telling, no, it's not good to win? But when a girl wins, when a girl goes to some big university, when a girl, gets a job at a very huge firm or something, everybody is appreciating her. But when a man wants to do that, when a man wants to do similar thing, they are like, no, this is toxic. You cannot be competitive at workplace. You have to be very careful of what you use, what words you use. Obviously, I'm not saying that you have to abuse someone at office or at any place, but you have to give your opinion, right? Because you have your own brain to think. Why should, if the opposite person is using his brain to think, and if she's a female and she's using a brain to think, why cannot I use my own brain to think? How is it offensive to someone else if I think?
It is just that, just a whole thing about weak men, and like it just goes back to that thing, and that now we are very, very fragile. Nowadays, you can't say stuff without being careful about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not saying just go around insulting people, but still. And the thing is, you have to make men stronger, and the way you make men stronger is by
giving them tough times,
giving them adversity, and making sure that they are disciplined. Because if a man goes wild, God knows what will do. Put a bunch of 5 people who are wild, they might do all kinds of crazy crimes. Discipline them and put them together, and they can become the US commander.
True. This is true. When men literally can go wild if not given the purpose or discipline. When I was in my first year of college, we had a jail visit, and the entirety of jail was filled with men. All criminals who were in jail, imprisoned, were men. And that just shows that, the thing is, they wanted to do good, I would say, because they wanted to feed their family, and they want to, they didn't have job, and that is why they went ahead and committed murder or theft or stuff like that. But entire jail was filled with men. It is so sad that people claim that that we have a privilege. No, we don't have privilege. If we don't, actually, nobody gives a shit about men. If, Kristin, you were suffering from a problem, and you go around and be vulnerable to for someone you you don't know his reaction or her reaction would be like, okay, everybody suffers, we don't care, just do what you want, do what you have to do. But if a girl is vulnerable, she's not getting a job and this and that, and 10 people will gather around her to, I'll do that for you, I'll do that for you, will do.
Thing is,
Jesus Christ.
this is the 10 people who gather around will also be men who are trying to get with her or trying to
Yeah,
get something out of that relationship or that interaction with her. And women fail to see this most of the time because for them it's so normal that they don't understand it. It's so normal for them to like for 10 guys to just surround them and give them opportunities from time to time. And it's in turn just made it even more difficult for us men. And I'm not bashing women when I say this, but it is what it is.
yeah, it's true. Even with the fact that, that women are now, redefining masculinity for men is kind of weird to see. That, okay, men should do this, men should do that, men should do this and that, everything. It's like a entire list of 50 characteristics that, women have made. And then you have to follow this only, then you are man. And then then women end up complaining that, oh no, we are not finding good men in this society, everybody's just very selfish and stuff like that. It's kind of hilarious and weird and ironic at the same time.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Be the best you. The woman will
that's
come.
that's
The
true.
thing
That's
is,
true.
most women go for a very small percentage of guys.
Hmm.
Have you realized that?
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah, they
guys,
want the
guys,
top-notch
yeah,
successful men.
guys will go with any or every woman that they like. So if you get into that top 5 or 10% of guys, you'll automatically get them. But for that, you have to put in the necessary work.
Hmm.
And by work, I mean you have to also work on your personality, not just your job. To work on your personality, your body, and your emotional intelligence. That is the most key thing, which is most of the time overlooked. Because
True.
you have to be in a position where you can lead the relationship.
True.
Obviously, for some women, it's going to be 50-50. For others, they'll say that I want the
Hmm.
man to take lead. And just know how to lead and know how to talk. That's all that will be okay. But make sure that you fall in the top 5 or 10% of guys.
That's true. So, Kristin, one last question I have for you. What would be your advice now that you have been through that journey of, finding your masculinity and what being in that phase where you were just, reflecting your own insufficiencies or others? What would be your message to the boys who are in their 13, 14 or, early teens, that what should you do at that point of time and not commit the same mistakes that other men are committing?
Try to think of what kind of father you want to be to your child. Whether you want to be someone who has experienced it, gone through it, been through it, pushed through it, and is then advising the child, or just advising it out of some sort of bias, or just not knowing what to do, or not tried it before and just telling it. Because if you don't try it before and then you say to not do it or not do it, then there is obviously that kind of bias. It's the same thing that goes with training MMA. The second thing is make sure that you take care of your health, mental and physical both. Make sure that you're emotionally stable, and make sure that you find some sort of a purpose in your life, because then you'll have meaning to your life. Okay, it will take time. It's not easy to
It's not
find
easy, not at all.
and develop a good hobby. Could be anything. Like I train right now, it's my hobby and it is what I like. If I want, but I've gotten so good at it that I might be able to find it. May or may not, but my trainer will tell me whenever he does. That's okay.
That's great. That's great. I mean, I do wish the best for you, when if your trainer says that you are good to go for a fight. I would really want to see you fight, and Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure to have you today and talk about all these topics, interesting topics. And thank you for your time, Kristin, for
Thank you.
coming and talking to us. Now, I'll be stopping the recording, but wait for a while.